Welcome back. Our final game for match week 3. No, it isn't. It's the third game of match week 1, the final one. We've got Chaos against High Elves. I do know the score this time because I played in it. I'm the High Elf coach in this league. So season 5, this High Elf team won the season, won the championship. The Chaos team finished 8th, which was last place at the time. We had 8 teams last season. And there's quite a big, I think it was 250 difference in team value. High Elves being the higher value team. So inducements came in. We had a wizard and an extra reroll, which takes them up to 5, which is a lot of rerolls. And I was wondering at the time, like I couldn't remember at the time on the inducement screen, and we were talking live on Discord, but the other options. But the coach went for another reroll. I think if I'd known they had 4 on the roster already, I might have said, I think there might be better uses for that. And actually, I don't think they used 5 rerolls in either half. So that could maybe have gone elsewhere. But anyway, let's look at the team. So the Chaos did they choose to attack first? They did. They chose to attack first. They picked up 1 on the fame rolls. I think they rolled just rolled high and got +1 on the fame. That is a deep kick. So using the kick skill. I'm set up in my pretty usual way, which is looking to defend aggressively. Like we covered this a lot last season. If you didn't watch it last season, I basically like to defend very aggressively with Elves. So I kick the ball deep and then try and get in between the ball and the rest of the team, cut them off and make it difficult for them to keep the ball, or to it's basically like highly aggressive. Try and score on defensive drives. I think that's the most fun way to play Elves. But anyway, let's look through the team. So line scrimmage, we've got 2 unlevelled linemen there, both on 0 points as well. This is a block lineman with movement 5, so his job is to stand on the line now and die on the pitch, or just survive and be hard. 2 blitzers, so both have dodge, 1 has guard and 1 has tackle. I think they both levelled after the final last season. So first game they're using those skills. We've got 4 catchers on the pitch. We've got a wrestle 1 in there. We've got a dodge, mighty blow and block 1 there, who's I'm almost certain is my highest, most experienced player. We've got a never steal block catcher and a dodge agility 5 catcher. So 4 pretty good, or 3 especially good catchers, and this one's developing nicely. We'll go to strip ball next. We've got 2 wrestle linemen here and 1 with kick. Kick being one of the most important skills I've picked up for the way that I play, because I have to make sure the kicks go deep for that to work. If they come short, or if I get touchbacks, I'm in trouble, or I can't defend how I want to anyway. On the bench we have another block lineman, this one with movement 6, and my thrower who has accurate and unvalue 7. So I'm at the point at the moment where as soon as I can afford to replace this thrower, I'm going to. Chaos team, just on their bench is an unleveled beastman. They've got all of their unleveled beastmen have star player points and can level in this game, which is something we noted early on. So that's 2 more unleveled ones there. There's a dodge beastman back here and a block 1. So they do have 4 players fairly deep who can protect a bit from early attempts at the ball. The line, 2 more beastmen on the line. We've got a block 1 here who's on 10 points, and a mighty blow tackle beastman. So you might remember from the preview that this level was still to be taken, and the decision was between claw and tackle. Went for tackle because in this league tackle is quite valuable. There's a lot of dodge players, and they'll get some use out of that. Do have claw on the Minotaur though, who is obviously dangerous. So these are the 2 big hitters. 2 mighty blow players against Elves is going to hurt a bit, and then anyone with armor better than 7, claw is another +1 on the armor rolls basically. 4 warriors, 3 of them have got block, that's the unleveled one. Then there's 3 block warriors. They had 2 on 15 points. Oh no, 1 on 15 points, 1 on 9, 2 on 9. There we go. Chaos are attacking, so straight back to cover the ball, because they'll know that I've got 3 catches over here. That's a long reach to get down at the ball here, so at least want to make it difficult. If any of these go wrong, set up for 3 dice with the Minotaur. Could have pushed into there for 3 dice on that second one as well, but get the knockdown on 2 dice and get a knockout as well. That does mean the Minotaur is marked its turn. I think if that wasn't an armor break, I probably would have had a go at the Minotaur, because that's 2 assists there already. Blitzing the catcher with a Mighty Blow player. And that is a stun. Yeah, Mighty Blow not effective there. I think actually the I did notice at the time when the Minotaur knocked over. So Claw made that armor break successful, and then Mighty Blow made that injury roll a knockout. So both of them coming into effect to get that removal. And then ball is not in the hands, but they had 6 rerolls actually, because they got another one off of the kickoff. But then goes forwards. Goes forwards there, and looks pretty safe. But you might want to have a look at this, because my opponent was surprised that I got 2 dice on the ball this turn. So if you want to have a quick look at how that might work, yeah, we'll see how the turn unfolds. But I did something a bit wrong in that I was initially going to blitz down here and try and get pressure on the ball that way. But then when I saw the 2 dice was on, I changed my mind. And it does involve the Agility 5 dodge player, who can get all the way over here with a few 2+s. And then this blitzer also in range. So I'm sort of doing these in installments, especially because of this bit. So if I use the dodge skill here, I go around this tackle zone and take the go for it. This is a 3+ dodge, but with the dodge reroll, that's better than just a 2+. So I dodge through there into there rather than going for it, or rather than 2 go for it. So I still need 1 for the block, and that is the ball down. So that aggressive defence I'm talking about, that's the kind of aim. As soon as there's a chance to go for the ball, go for it and get it on the floor and get players around it and make it difficult for the attacking team to do what they need to. And yeah, some pushes there, and I dropped this Mighty Blow player back as well. Dodge away from the Minotaur, and that's 3+2+ to dodge out of there, and I've got the same there as well, 3+2+ to come past the Minotaur. But finally find a 1 on that 2+ dodge, and we turn over. But with no actions left to perform, I'm not going to use a reroll for that. So, does give the Cows a bit of a problem here. They don't really have the players to try and make this a T shape and push away like that. So I think they're just going to start fighting me over the ball. Now, yeah, I think some things like I leave a couple of blocks on plus their blitz. That's an injury to an important player, so that's the Agility 5 catcher. It's a miss next game, which with all the other players I've got developing as well, I don't want to risk the Apothecary on that. I want to save that for sort of more permanent sort of injuries. But yeah, where I changed my mind about what I was doing in my first turn and didn't think it through properly, I've left this block on, and that's taken one of my blitzers out for the drive as well, or at least for the drive. So yeah, leaving players in contact like that it has cost me that. It cost me another player, and one of my better ones as well. So this player's trapped in. This player's trapped in as well. And I think really I need to start denying blocks, because I'm already 3 players down, and it's turn 2. So just setting up here, looking for a target for my Mighty Blow Blitzer. And keeping these players a bit deeper, and then that's going to be my blitz. Unfortunately just a push there, and I think I had in mind to do this at the end of my turn, which is a couple of 5+s. See if I could grab this. If I can get a 5+ here, it's 4 and a 2 to score, but I don't get the ball. So a couple of 1s there. Obviously a 5+ roll, you can't really complain about 1s coming up, because a 4 is just as bad. So that doesn't come off, but that leaves this player now vulnerable as well. And now you find a power on that. And it's another armor break, just to stun this time. but that's another player I'm missing next turn. So already feeling very light on bodies. This is all my team now. These are tied in with the Minotaur. So going for the dangerous player here and find a pal there for another knockout as well. So we're just dropping like flies basically. So we got a really nice knockdown on the ball. Had a couple of players around to try and make it difficult, but they just smashed those players out of the way, and a couple of others as well while they're at it. And now we're very short-handed, and it's going to be really hard to stop the score. And definitely to do really anything about it. Or rather, anything about scoring ourselves, which is probably the aim early on, which is maybe a bit ambitious. So we're just looking at what contact points we've got. We've got a block player here against not a block warrior, so we're going to try and take that 2 dice. We do get a knockdown. And then that's a foul dodge, which I just swallow. Only 2 rerolls left. I was looking at blitzing with this wrestle guy on one of these, probably this one, because it's the dangerous player, as demonstrated here. With another, just a stun. But following up there does leave him in contact, so I am taking that hit. I'll be making it a priority of my turn to hit this player, because it's dangerous. But there's not many of us left, so trying to find 2 dice here will be tricky, especially with that player stunned. We'll see where these go. What do we here? Yeah, I think I look at 2 dice on this player where I can. So has to come in and mock the Minotaur, which is unenviable. We get 1 dice there. Oh no, I remember what I did here, which again was probably a bit ambitious, but it's like I'm down to desperate plays because this is all these big players in circles. This is all the team I've got left, and I think I look at 4+ dodge there, and then 2 dice uphill to try and take the ball with a wrestle player. That first though. So dodge this one away. Fail that dodge. With a reroll it's 75%, so not ridiculous to try, but I don't get it. A couple of 2s are no good. So into 2 tackle zones, that's -2 on my dodge roll, so we normally need 2+, it's a 4+. And the cows can take this space down here and run that ball forwards. So this player not blitzing this turn, which is kind of helpful. Yeah, so the blitz is there for that block player. Yeah, so not following up. Maybe a step back a bit because he's going to be trapped between 2 players there. Although we're probably not going to be that bothered about being there. And it's our first fouled wild animal to save my blitzer, who's probably going to be dodging away from this Minotaur this turn. Yeah, because I'm looking at 2 dice on this warrior. I dodge him round, so this one's marked and can't assist. This player's coming back here because I'm trying to prevent... oh no, hang on, sorry, I'm thinking about later in the game where I was trying to prevent switchovers. But yeah, I'm blitzing here. And just push back there, but then dodge through. Which at the time I sort of forgot that was going to be a 3+, 2+, and that I'd already used the dodge skill, but I did get away with it. with a couple of threes. That was, I think, an accidental dodge, but is okay. But yeah, going wrong there would have made the turn go quite differently, and would have left me at least one dice on the ball, I think. Yeah, so blitzing my dodge blitzer with the tackle guy, who rerolls and gets a knockdown with tackle. So I think that's the first time we've seen tackle have an effect. Which has not been hitting dodge players up until now. And that's another injury. I think that's another steel. Yeah, another steel block one, who is just out for this game. So keeping that apothecary for anything bad, really. Monitor moves around here, just to try and do more to hold players in place. And that was, yeah, I think I needed to take this player down to open up some, like a blitz over here I was looking at, but roll a skull and I'm on my last reroll, and if I'm going to try in one turn, I'd like to have a reroll for it, so I'll keep that rather than try and make that a bit better. It was 1 in 2 to pull this beastman down. If I had to wrestle, anyway, you could say pulling down. But yeah, so they are caging up to try and score in turn 8, which is the right thing to do. And they're hitting here for another injury, so I forgot I had that many in the first half. Yep, so 3 casualties so far. And then more bodies over here, so there's no getting in there basically. I think this is my quickest player, who I think can get to that square, but then would be out of extra movement to try and surf. And they're blitzing this guy anyway. Go. And that's another one down. So I think I'm looking at, yeah, I was looking at trying to get 2 assists on this warrior and then see if I can hit him with my blitzer. Because the warrior doesn't have block, it's a good chance to knock him down. I'll have to dodge out to there, back in, find a knockdown. But no armor break, and I think that does us. Oh yeah, I fell go for it there, not re-rolling it, but I was trying to get a bit further away from this player. So I think 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, yeah. I think if I could have got here, it would have forced to go for it to try and blitz him, and then might not risk that. He was wanting the score, but didn't risk it anyway. A blitz with the mighty blower, and we get a turn 8 score. So that's the dodge beastman, I think, who I think goes up to 14 points with that. And it's a good first half from the Chaos. So 3 casualties, 3 knockouts who thankfully all come back. But that does leave me capped at 10 players now, because I only had a bench of 2. And we'll switch here because we have a 1 turn attempt to have a look at. So the Chaos do go very heavy here, which makes this a bit more difficult. I think if these players are a bit further back, it does make it a bit easier for me. Although they do give me just a T-shape here straight away, which becomes my starting point. Because I've only got 1 guard, this is going to have to be on 1 dice, because I haven't got the extra player to come and take this assist out. That means my blitz has to be in there, into that T-shape, and that's going to be my first push point. But now I've got to make sure that he gets pushed into a box, so he can choose to go there and push that player there, and that's how we start in. And I need to push this player forward 3 squares to score. Well, and get him the ball and pass to go for it, and then he dodges and stuff like that. But I have to open with a 1 dice. And I was hoping for a touchback here, but I didn't get one, so it just goes quite deep. So we start there, and we go straight into a power, which at the time I thought I can probably still work it out from there. I'll take that, but really I should have re-rolled it, because as soon as this guy goes down, I can't do it anymore. Because I needed him standing, so I could then push him from there. Which was going to be, so he's 3, 4, 5, 6. I had strength 6 against 4, so it's 2 dice. I needed to first move that player around there, so that he gets pushed into a T shape, so that this blitzer can then step into that catcher and there, and then I get a box there to push him into, and I push him that one further forwards, but he had to be standing after that block. And then get pushed to there, and then pushed to there with the catcher going there, and then it's retrieve the ball, throw a long pass. But it didn't work out, so I had looked at it for a bit, trying to work out, but it is this gap here. I think if I didn't have this space, I might have been able to do it. It probably would have been red dice to push the Minotaur here, and then I'm starting to look for silly dice. But yeah, that gap there made it impossible for me to get this catcher any further forward, so I just used his blocking skills instead to hit that warrior, who doesn't do anything. This might as well be a vanity pass, because this throws on 15 points, even though I sort of long term probably don't want to keep him. I thought I might as well see what the level is. And I didn't need to reroll for anything else, so do that. Although this becomes a block I shouldn't have thrown, because obviously he gets clawed and gets knocked out. Yeah, neither Claw or Mighty Blow did that. It was just 10 followed by an 8. And that's half time. Just going in behind, so I want to get my knockout back again. And that's helpful. So it's 4 from 4 knockout recovery rolls I've passed, which is very generous of the game to do that for me. So Chaos set up a bit wider now. So when these two teams played last season, I think twice in the game, I scored within 2 turns from receiving kickoffs. Because they'd set up like this on both wings and it left me space to go around, but this time they have gone out, which makes it much harder. But one thing I do have now that I didn't have then is a guard player, and that gives me a way to unlock this wing, I think, because this is I don't know if maybe we could have swapped the 2 unleveled beastmen here, make it a bit easier to get through, because it gives me more block dice results that are going to work. Whereas if the dodge one's out here or the block one, it's going to make that harder. I don't know, I think I'd probably have gone at the block player with a wrestle one to give me those same chances of putting them on the floor. But it only really works if that's the player furthest out to the wing. That is a touchback. And I'm giving that straight to my wrestle catcher, who's the one I'm intending to score with this drive, and I'd like to do it in 2 turns. Because it's like, I think we were saying when the Amazons had a decision to make, is it in that game, about if they're going to score quickly and go for the win, or they're going to score slowly and go for the draw. But I want to go for the win, so trying to do that. So he needs to come in here because he was in the way, basically. I would like him to have been screening afterwards, but I needed the dodge player there and couldn't get him there because that goes in the way. So that's poor setting up from me. But then hit with the Mighty Blow guy. Use the follow-up for the extra square of movement it gives me, because it's only a 2+ dodge out. And then around there, so first place of the screen is in place. Move the thrower forwards because he's no good back there. And he's now out of the way, so he can be useful next turn if I need him. That's another screening player, so the ball's going in about here. Which is going to be tricky for the girls to get at. And that's an extra body. Now this is the difficult bit because I need to block off this space, which involves a 4+ dodge, but I get that okay. And then try to go for it. Just stop them getting at the ball. And there we are, so it's pretty well screened off. But we have a wizard, which I actually forgot about until the beginning of my opponent's turn, where they decide they're going to fireball, which is maybe the riskier way of doing it, but they do get 3 out of the 4 players targeted, which is kind of helpful for them. Then they blitz with the Minotaur here. They'll be looking at other options. And now the chain push here is going to give them push another player out here. And I think now they can start looking at getting players in here. I think it involves a dodge for this warrior to come and stand in here. So puts tackle on my dodge guy, just going to make a 3+2+ for him a bit more difficult. He could have gone 3+2+, 2+ pick up to go for it to score. Although this guy in here makes that more difficult. And here, because I still want to score quickly, I'm starting to look at options here. So I do have that option, which is 3+ without dodge, and then 2+ with dodge. But I have to get rid of this guy because otherwise it's 3+, 3+ for the pickup and 2+ for the dodge. So I have to make that better, and I think I look at hitting with this guy, which means he needs 2 assists there and there, which are going to have to come from players who are back here. And that's how we roll it in. So that takes out 2 assists there. Thrower takes out that assist, and then I've got 2 dice there, which is a knockdown and a dead beastman. Puts that guy up to 14 points. Apothecary for miss next game, and that's that there. So the Apothecary, for anyone who doesn't know, it re-rolls the casualty dice, and if either result at that point is badly hurt, you get to put the player back on the pitch if you choose that. Oh, not on the pitch, on the bench. It's available next drive. So we're blitzing with this guy to try and score with him, because he has 2+ dodge, 2+ pickup. Foul the pickup, but I've got 3 team re-rolls. Get that and just run it in for 1-1. So quick score that time. Chaos are capped at 11 players now, but they're still actually on 11 players. I am on 10. I don't think I have anyone knocked out this time, do I? No. So it's just 10 plays 11 in Chaos' favour. And I set up for another defence in a very similar way, except that as soon as my opponent was setting up first half, I forgot to flag this up. I'd left my blitzers both surfable by the Minotaur, so I've moved them in a square so that they didn't take it first turn. But it was frenzyable off the pitch, and losing either of these players is bad. But I did lose this player very early in the first half. I think it was turn 2. But yeah, so we have to go a bit narrower because we haven't got as many players, and kick it deep. Just a quick snap for Chaos. A couple of players moving back closer to the ball. But yeah, not doing much else there. So I'm covering the ball. This beastman would have levelled if he'd scored, so I was sort of expecting that to be the one who took the ball carrying duties on this drive. So it's pushed there, which is going to give the Minotaur 3 dice whichever way it goes. Using the block warrior to hit there. For another knockout, second time in the game that player's been knocked out. The movement 5-1. Then Minotaur gets 3 dice there for the knockdown. For another knockout, so we're down to 8. Yeah, it was very difficult keeping players on the pitch. Chaos were playing like Chaos should really, and getting all the removals. And I was pleased to see this follow up because that's Mighty Blow against Mighty Blow. So I've just got to fight. Well, I've got a guard player there who just needs to stand up, and I've got 2 dice on their Dangerous Beastman. With my Dangerous Catcher. And if that's a knockdown, I've got 2 dice with this guy on this warrior as well. So that's already what I'm planning for my turn, is take those blocks because I've been given them. That is a knockdown. But no good on the armor roll. And then that push. Just get him away there because I didn't do enough. What I didn't do enough in the first half is deny blocks to the Chaos team, and here I've left none on for them. Haven't blitzed as yet, so that's 1 in contact. So I'm just looking at a blitz there. It's just a push. But again, I'm not leaving a block on. So they're only going to be able to hit one player. And that's a failed go for it. I was looking to just get that bit further forward. But it didn't work out. But left no blocks on, so they're going to be able to hit one player, which I think is probably here. That tackle against my my dodge guard blitzer. So I have here voluntarily put their one dodge player against my one tackle player. So he's maybe not the best candidate for that job. One of these probably would have been better to protect the tackle player there. So protect the dodge player rather. So tackle did fire again for that beastman. Already been a good pick of advance. And again, that player's left in contact, so I'm taking that 2 dice on. But again, just a push. Oh no, it wasn't a push last time, was it? I've got 2 dice there. Also taking, get a knockdown. And then I'm looking at that as my blitz. But again, just a push. And then back there. So that shuts off the way forward there. And he dodges around there, and I've got 1 dice on this warrior, which is a power. For a knockout. So a slight attempt to even things up with but it's 10 plays 8 still in Chaos favour. But I've again not left any blocks on. This is how I should have been playing the first half as well, really, although I went really aggressive right at the beginning of the drive, which I couldn't really do this time. I think because the ball was a bit further back, so it means these 2 are the only ones forward. But I should, and in the first half I've been playing like this, and denying blocks to them so they get to hit 1 player at a time. What's the other comment I was going to make? Yeah, because they haven't really got an option to come switch through over here. I mean, they could come and take this space, but they're probably going to leave players based up and maybe let me in at the ball, because there's just not a lot of room basically between these 2 players for them to try and get their whole team in. And I think they felt a bit discouraged by the route forwards here, although actually they could well have gone for, yeah, they could have surfed this guy with the Minotaur, which I missed at the time. That probably would have been a decent play. Yeah, he could be getting frenzied off the pitch. I missed that at the time. I think they have as well. I think they're just consolidating their position here. Yeah, trying to snipe at my blitzer here with the Mighty Blow guy. But no on break there, and then steps back. But that's it, yeah, just holding their position there. They've still got time, they've still got 4 turns to try and get the score in. So he's coming off the touchline, don't want to leave him vulnerable there. Again, just a push on their dangerous player, and he steps back into safety. 2 dice from the thrower there for a knockout. So 9 plays to 8 in Chaos favour. So definitely better from this half for me. And yeah, this was the point I was like, yeah, I want to stop them moving across this way, because they seem reluctant to go this way. So I want to make sure they can't go this way easily. And that was another 1 dice power from that same guy, and I've put tackle on their dodge guy again. So that is a dodge I've left on, a block I've left on for them. So he's going to tackle there. I think maybe if they'd gone from that way, if he's stuck with a pushback, he can go there, because there is now a gap here that they could run through, and they can probably get enough players through to keep the ball safe. I could definitely have pushed somebody forwards to be a scoring threat, but they blocked that gap up there, and I think that could be a time, because that was a weakness I left, because there's a gap there with no tackle zones they could have pushed through. But just edge forward a bit more, and as long as these players stay on the pitch, I'm going to hold this area, I think, because I'm not giving them enough blocks Finally get a knockdown from my Mighty Blow guy. And an armor break, but just a stun. And it was Mighty Blow that got the stun. Wouldn't have got through without that. So here we're looking at a couple of 1 dice blocks. Trying to make this a tougher place to blitz by keeping players a bit together. And L shapes are quite tough to blitz as well, and make a gap. So 3rd turn running, get a 1 dice power from that guy against, I think, against this warrior every time, and that's another 1 dice knockdown there. My tackle coming into play against their dodge, and that's a marker on the ball. So I need to do something about that, which I'm sure will be the subject of their blitz. It's the Minotaur who does it, so that's quite risky, but this is 3 dice. It's a pushback. If you go there, you get another 3 dice. Because of horns on the Minotaur and the assist, that puts the Minotaur at strength 7, which is more than double, so it's 3 dice. But it means they've used their blitz there and not to try and break through my line, which means they're not getting forwards and time's starting to run out. Only 2 turns after this. So next turn will be the one where they've got to have someone in scoring range, and they're still on the halfway line at the moment. So he's gone forward to sort of semi-be a scoring threat next time, because if I need to throw the ball to someone, I want someone with catch, but also he was taking out that assist, so I could get 1 dice on the ball, but I can't get better than a pushback. Following up, please, a block dodge player on the ball carrier. If you only have to sidestep as well. We get 2 dice there. It's just a pushback, but he puts my other blitzer also in contact. Another block dodge player. And then that's my scoring threat going in. That player can score if he catches the ball, he can run in with no more dice. And that's 3 players marking the ball carrier. So Chaos have to press this turn basically, and have to get the ball forwards if they're going to win the game or if they're going to score. I've only got 1 turn left, so if they score in 2 turns from now, that's game over. But I think they got that. I think they basically chose to play for the draw at least some point. But if they want to make sure I don't score, first move is this beastman back here, who's doing nothing else really. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stand there. That's hardest place for me to do anything about it, because if I have to use my blitz anywhere else, he's got 3+ to catch, 3+, 2+ to score, rather than the just 2+ to score if the ball gets at him at the moment. So first thing, that beastman there means it's much harder for me to score, because I've still got to get the ball yet and then recover it, and yeah, there's all sorts going on. But that's a good safety net. Just mark that player sort of a touchdown end zone side, and then it makes it much harder. But as for going through here, they can definitely make a gap here to get through. They need to make sure that this blitzer is pushed back. There's an assist there, which I need to cancel out somehow, which might mean Minotaur has to try and step in here, which I think they're going for anyway. That means he can't assist. That means you get 2 dice there, push him there, he's out of the way, at least for now. You might not stop a sack attempt next turn, but you can get this guy far enough forwards to try and score next turn. After he's gone, that's 1 less marker on the ball. He needs to be got rid of as well. You can block here to push back there, and then you've got your blitz on this thrower, and you kind of need to knock him over at that point, because a pushback won't be enough, but that will leave a gap through there where this player can just run through, get as far forward as he can, at least within 8 squares of the end zone, so he can still score. But I think they chose a few different things. That is a knockdown, so that guy is down. And then yeah, here, so they get a pushback here because he's got dodge, which putting him there means he's away from the ball carrier. That's kind of good enough for what you need to do this turn. But they re-roll it, which I think is the point. After they've re-rolled that, they've realised they're going to need to probably. It comes to a point where they're going to have to dodge the ball carrier basically, because this guy hits the thrower instead, and because he can only push there, and they get stuck with that, and he hasn't got block. That's kind of where he has to go. If a pushback is good enough on this guy, and then you can try and knock over there as well. With a block player, it's just a slightly more chance of knocking over that thrower. As it stands, he has to blitz here, and that means it's a 3+ dodge without a reroll to try and get the ball carrier forwards. And I think not wanting to risk failing that and losing the ball, they don't take it. But I mean, this player still had a couple of squares of movement. Could have come over here to screen, because that stun's pretty big. That's the player I was like, that's the one going for the sack next turn, because surely the ball's going to be down here. And I move someone else here to assist, and then someone else, hopefully the thrower, to come get the ball and just chuck it up there. That was my plan for next turn, except they decided not to take this dodge on, which I kind of needed. So I think it's a thing we've mentioned a couple of times, definitely last season, about making sure you've got the reroll for the most important thing in your turn. The most important thing in their turn was going to be that dodge, but they'd already used it, trying to knock over this blitzer. And that means they didn't have the reroll and didn't want to risk it in the end. So I think they just stay there. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah. Which means I can get 2 dice on the ball, but it's with this thrower. So it's 55% to knock down, which is not that bad. But then he's going there. And then how do I get the ball from there? And I've used a thrower who's going to be the best one to chuck it to this player. So not ideal. That was what I was trying to do as well. I was trying to push into there so he can push there, and I can get another shot at him, and then maybe keep the thrower free. But I had to take both down with the wrestle that meets. The thrower has to go for it, and it's just a push. So we're not scoring. And that means I can try and hit this guy, or one of these guys. Yeah, there we go. I decided to go for that one because he's got dodgy tiles to knock over, and it wouldn't have knocked him over, so I get that one. But nothing. And that is done for us. Chaos can't score either, so it's going to end 1-1. They're just looking at blocks they can get. So Minotaur hits thrower. Thrower goes down. And thrower gets injured. So this is the thrower I'm already thinking about bidding off. It's another -1 armor value. And I use my apothecary anyway, just in case his level was any good. Although it would have been really annoying now if this blitzer had died or something, because I'd used my apothecary on a player I don't necessarily want. And we've still got a mighty blow tackle hit on him, which does knock him over. So there's a bit of held breath, but it didn't break armour. I think is that more or less it. We've got to throw with this player. So Gishlotal, who goes from 10 points to 11, is worth bearing in mind, because he then gets the MVP and levels. So Vanity Pass did something. By MVP not so good, but they get a level out of that. I think my only level player was the thrower. It was the only one I got. But yeah, I'm surprised to see my blocks that high. We did knock a few players over, I suppose, but Chaos got far more, got 4 casualties along the way and 6 knockouts. I think 2 of those were in that last drive, so I didn't get a chance to come back. But the 4 knockouts previous all came back, which was very nice. That's not something you see very often. We often make quite a big show about how these rolls turn out really poor, but that was quite good. I don't think there were any dice to blame for anything in this game, although it did feel like like at the time, it's like, where are all the skulls and the Chaos players' block dice? Like, there were, yeah, obviously a lot showed up, but they were with other ones, and they were always choosing hardly thrown any 1 dice blocks. I think a lot of 3s as well, and yeah, like not a single 1 dice block in the game, which is a very solid way of playing a bash team. And they won it. Had far more on breaks than me and made the most of that, and it was 1-1. That was how we ended. So that did wrap up our first game week. Leaderboard, kind of hard to tell if it means much at this point. I'm no longer the highest team value in the league, but I've still got a player missing, and I'm playing this undead team next, so they're going to have what's that, just over 400 team value difference, so they'll be able to induce probably a big star player or something. Well, they can certainly afford to do that if they want to. But the 2 teams who just played, so the Chaos did have that Beastman level. I think that was the only player. and he took tackle, so tackle's proving a highly sought after skill in this league. They are playing Amazons next as well, so that is going to be useful immediately in the next game. They have this player missing the game, so that's the one that died, and then the apothecary helped out. Where's my team? Here we go. So our only level was the thrower, who just rolled a normal advance. I was thinking if it was +1 agility, I might keep him a bit longer, even on value 7, but it wasn't, and I could afford a new one, so I hired a new one. So we got a fresh thrower in for the next game. I'm missing this player who's 150 team value, which is why my TV's dropped. He's got the agility up. Yeah, that's how the team's looking. I think I may at some point excuse me, want another lineman, but I think that's the only other player I might buy at some point. I think if I get to 70 in my next game and I haven't lost anyone else important, I will probably buy a fresh lineman, and that'll be all the team I want then. Yeah, so I'll just be looking at developing the players I've got and maybe spending some money on inducements. But yeah, next time I've got Undead, like I said. That's that game there. We've got Amazons against Chaos, which also mentions, which leaves Dark Elves and Nurgle to face each other. The Dark Elves won a semi-final against that Nurgle team last year and got through to the final with it. So yeah, 3 good games to come next time, and we'll be back with some of those. Because the first 3 games are all like really spread out. I got a chance to cover all of them, which I might not necessarily be able to do all the way through the season. But yeah, that's what we've been able to do this time, and yeah, we will have at least some of round 2 coming up.